Good evening. Meeting call to order. Madam City Clerk, roll call.
Okay, just for the record, I want to say that the mayor's daughter, Nia, is playing in the college softball showcase tonight in Colorado, so Councilmember Shropshire will be mayor pro tem and will be presiding over the meeting. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Shropshire, I have you down. Councilmember Freely. Councilmember Ziegler is here. She just stepped away. Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember Mitchell, Councilmember Butler, and Councilmember Martin Rogers. Mayor Pro Tem Shropshire, we have a quorum.
Staff that's here.
Staff present is Iris Jesse, the Deputy City Manager, Laren Wiggins, City Attorney, Keisha McCullough, City Clerk.
Thank you. And we will have invocation. There's no pastor, so we will stand for a moment of silence and then do the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Sergeant in Arms tonight is Captain Robinson. Are there any presentations and announcement? Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Thank you. I do have one announcement, actually two, but the first one is the teacher back to school supply drive. Our goal is to ensure every teacher has access to essential supplies to kickstart the new year. The drive will take place on July 27th with more information forthcoming. However, volunteers and donations are needed. You can visit the city's Facebook page, votelatanya.com, or call 404-270-7100 for more information and to receive a copy of the Amazon wish list. We are requesting that all donations be dropped off here at City Hall no later than July 15th. And the other announcement is my birthday is on July 13th. I will be doing a community cleanup at the corner of Yates Road and Catalina Circle in Ward D. You can contact the city clerk's office at the number, again, 404-270-7100 to volunteer. But I am requesting that everyone in Ward D come out and lend a helping hand as we kick start the Ward D Gets Lit campaign. That's July 13th, my birthday. I'd like to celebrate it with members of our community in doing something special in the community. Thank you so much.
Any committee reports? Okay, being none, adoption of the agenda. Councilmember Martin.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the printed council agenda.
Councilmember Ziegler. The motion has been moved and properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approval of the city council minute meetings. Councilmember Martin.
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes for June 17th, 2024.
Is there a second? Councilmember Cummings second the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Approval of the special call meeting. Is there a motion? Councilmember Martin Rogers?
Motion to approve the special call meeting on January 18th, 2024.
Is there a second?
June 18th.
June.
Did I say June?
You
June
said January.
18th?
You said June, January.
June 18th, 2024. I apologize.
Does the second still stand? Motion to approve the special call meeting for June 18th. It has been properly seconded by Councilmember Cummings. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Are there any public hearings tonight? There are no public hearings. Public comments. Rule 28, the public may speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Speaker may complete a comment form prior to the start of the meeting. Subject may include any subject of choice. There will be 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Speakers that have signed up to speak may give all a part of their time up to 3 minutes to another speaker for a total of 6 minutes of speaking time. Speakers may address the council only once during this time of the agenda. Speaker may identify themselves and their address prior to speaking. Questions from the speaker may not be addressed during the public comment section of the agenda. East Point residents will have priority over other speakers. There will be a total of not more than 30 seconds of the public speaking section of the agenda. Speaker may only address the presiding officers. Speakers shall adhere to all the rules of decorum. No debate, no disrespect, or no obscene shall be tolerated. The presiding officer shall rule any such individuals out of order that fails to comply with the foregoing. Madam City Clerk, how many speakers do we have?
We have 11 public comments today.
Okay.
All right, up first, we have Ms. Joan Lattimore.
This one? My name is Joan Lattimore. I live at 1252 Lyle Avenue in East Washington area. I am here again for 1268 Lyle Avenue, which is an Airbnb. The parties, the noise, the trash. I'm afraid of 1268. They've taken a murder out of there a couple of years ago. The police have been called several times. There's a lot of illegal parking. It says no parking on both sides of the street. Every time they have an event, there's always trash in front of my door, all up and down the street, and I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm afraid that a resident is going to get shot, and then maybe East Point will do something about 1268. I always text the owner, but nothing is done.
Up next, we have Ms. Cynthia Vaughn.
Thank you to our Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Cynthia Vaughn. I have been a resident of Lakeside Preserve Community for over 17 years now. And my husband and I have resided there together, and we've seen some changes. So I'm here to talk about the rezoning that is being proposed. So I attended the council meeting also on June 17th and listened openly to the pros and cons, the pros presented by the developer and the cons presented by our community members, those mostly of Lakeside Preserve Community, other East Point residents, and also residents down Old Fairburn Road, which I definitely think those should also be highly regarded. I continue to believe that the cons simply outweigh the pros. So I wanted to speak tonight because we know that our city council is here to represent our great city and its people. And we have a petition that has over 200 signatures of people who are opposed to this rezoning. I also want my voice to be heard. I want to be heard because I oppose this rezoning of townhomes, two townhomes from single-family homes, mainly for the following reasons. Rezoning will change the character of our community with higher density, so we're opposed to that. It'll lead to heavier traffic congestion, which at this point, we still have seen no relief in sight. It presents safety issues. We talked about those a lot in our last meeting. Car accidents, you know of those all in this area, numerous car accidents, and those are very significant as far as concerns for our community. It also places a greater strain on our infrastructure. I don't think we talk enough about that. In East Point, we, in our community, have had frequent power outages. We've had issues with water. You all know the road issues and the congestion there. Not to mention a possible reduction in our property values. I think the stats are still to be determined on that. The point is that some of the things that have been presented or that were presented in the last meeting where they talked about rezoning, those things were presented and they looked very well as they noted them on the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, but what we know as a community that those things are not a guarantee, even though they presented them as such. We want the developer to recognize and to know that we know that this is a fact because we've been through it. Lakeside Preserve, since I've been living there, we went through 3 developers. It was unexpected, but there were 3 developers before our community was completed over the years. So we've seen some things. What we would ask is that you would please respect our experience, the experience that we bring to the table as we discuss this matter. And the bottom line is there's no mistake, or we don't believe there was any mistake made when that property was originally zoned for single-family homes. And I've seen no significant change in the circumstances. Okay, I'm just going to finish up and then say I ask that you please vote in a way that respects our interests and investments and oppose this rezoning. Thank you.
Up next, we have Ms. Barbara Jackson.
Hi, my name is Barbara Jackson. I live at 3616 Lake Estates Way, Atlanta, Georgia, 30349. I've actually spoken already in council, before the council at the previous meeting. And it would really be just to reiterate what I spoke on earlier, like Cynthia just spoke, the traffic, that is a major concern. And I just want to go on record, I am not against development, right? I think if we talk about rezoning that area, that's basically putting it in a mixed use. And I can see if the mixed use entailed homes, townhomes, businesses, movie theaters, various things, but the townhomes would sit directly in the center of single-family homes. If you look at Camp Creek Parkway, all the way up at least until Union Road, if you go down Old Fairburn Road, there's nothing but single-family homes along that corridor. You do not see mixed use. You do not see businesses. You do not see townhomes. It's already zoned for single-family homes. I recommend we keep it that way. Thank you.
Up next, we have Makita Mooring. Okay, sorry.
Good afternoon. My name is Makeda Morin, and I am a resident of Lakeside Preserve Subdivision, and I serve on the board as well. Council, I ask you to vote no to a rezoning and keep the zoning as intended, which is for single-family homes. I ask that you listen to your constituents who for the past couple of years have asked you to keep zoning for this property for single-family homes. There will be a negative impact if zoning is changed from single-family homes to townhouses because, as we have already stated, will be a lot more traffic. This results in more congestion and more accidents, which we have already seen accidents in the recent months based on the current population. Safety is a paramount concern. There will be a negative impact on the quality of life because of congestion and traffic. Quality of life is a paramount concern. There will be increase and possible increase in transit occupants because townhouses are notorious for being rented, often resulting in transit occupants, even if guidelines against that are considered. It still happens. Security is a paramount concern. Council, I ask you to take note of the point that the developer said it's too expensive to build single-family homes, and thus it's to their financial advantage to change the zoning. But I ask you to listen to your constituents, because the negative impact on the safety, security, and quality of life by this zoning would be too expensive for the homeowners who live there and the residents who live there. So again, I ask you to view which expensive issue that you need to consider for quality of life, not only in this area, for the entire East Point. Because what happens in one part of East Point affects our city of East Point. Again, I ask you to vote no on this rezoning.
Up next, we have Frank Redding.
Frank Redding, 1193 Bell Avenue. I take an opposite view on the development. As a matter of fact, I'm planning on moving there. I've been in negotiation with the developer for some time about the possibility of purchasing one of the units from them once they're built.
Excuse me, sir. Madam City Clerk. And your address is
1193 Bell Avenue.
Bell?
Bell.
Avenue, East Point?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right off of Headland. Okay. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I'd like to express the fact, you know, change comes, and whether we support it or not, change is still going to happen. The price points that I'm looking at paying are in excess of $400,000. The existing subdivision across the street, they're valued at substantially less than that. When I hear a person say that a $400,000 unit would diminish the value of a $250,000 unit, it calls into question, you know, maybe that's an emotional, maybe that's emotional and not actually and actuarially factual. So I would just urge you to vote for change, and I would urge you to vote yes on the redevelopment. Thank you.
Up next, we have Anthony Douglas.
Yeah, I got a lot going on. I'm different. I'm Anthony Douglas. I live at 4298 Savannah Drive. I only got a couple of things. We need speed breakers. We need speed breakers in our neighborhood. There's been people's pets killed. We've had so many accidents just because we can't get speed breakers. They've been talked about forever. I don't think anybody from my subdivisions ever come to one of these meetings. I just came today so I can get it on the record that we really need the speed breakers. Some of you guys are familiar with what's been going on in our subdivision. We've been disrupted by Microsoft, but they're nice. I didn't come to bash anybody. Another one of my concerns is city services in Ward D. There are none. I can go to Welcome All Park, but I don't pay taxes there. I can go to Jamestown. I don't pay taxes there. There's nowhere in Ward D where I can walk my dog other than on my street, but he may get killed because there are no speed breakers. So I don't know how this process works. I'll be back, but I just want to make sure that I get it on the record. Another one of my concerns, and I'll be brief, is the trucks that are on Ben Hill Road. You guys have signs on both ends that say no trucks. I had a truck driver to shoot the bird at me because he said he know you guys are not going to enforce it. He know that. They go back and forth. They destroy the neighborhood. I don't know what they got going on. I understand what they're saying. There's too much traffic. It's just too much traffic. We don't have I get on Camp Creek every morning where you turn to get on that little, I don't even know the name of the street where it comes in, where the Microsoft Center is. You could be there for 20 minutes to make one right turn. There's never any officers there to make sure that the traffic is moving. Nothing is being done in Ward D. I know you guys, I have emailed Dr. Rogers and Councilman Butler. I know they're doing their thing. I know I'm not even here. I know they're doing everything they can, but I'm here to tell everybody so we can get something done. Thank you.
Up next, we have Anastasia Arena.
Good evening. My name is Anastasia Arena. I own the property we'll be speaking of later, which is the address would be 0 Old Fairburn Road. My residence is at 1040 Cantor, which is near Buckhead. So I'm asking if I'm allowed to speak, if you can give me 3 minutes of your time. Thank you very much. Good evening. I would like to use this time and ask you to please hear me.
One moment, ma'am. Madam City Clerk, can you stop the timer? Have all the residents spoke?
She's the property owner at 0 Fairburn Road.
But she signed up for public comments. And
Under-
public comments are residents speak first.
Even with her
She-
being a property owner? Just need clarification.
Wait. I'm gonna defer to the city attorney.
If the rules provide for your primary residence to be in East Point, then she wouldn't qualify, because it wouldn't be her primary residence.
I thought
But if
so.
there are other folks, and I'll look up the rule real quickly, if there are other folks on the list that are East Point residents, all right, so it's Rule 28. So Rule 28 does not address East Point residents. So it does not address primary or secondary residents. I think that definitely a property owner would not necessarily make her a resident if it's considered a term of art. Residency is like where you vote, those kind of things. So if East Point is not your residency, then you would go after the East Point residents. Not that you can't speak, just there's an order according to their council rules.
I'm very comfortable with that, whatever pleases. So I'll go last.
Madam City, how much, so we'll know when their time comes, whatever her remaining time is.
She got like 2 minutes and 40 seconds left.
Okay,
It's,
so any other residents? Let's see.
just, would that be the same for you, Mr. Gonzalez, as well? Would it be the same for Mr. Gonzalez as well? But, okay, got it. So, yeah, we have one other East Point resident, and that is Mr. Eric Coleman.
Hey, good evening. Today I stand before you in support of the proposed townhome development and the rezoning from single-family homes to townhomes. My name is Eric Coleman, Eric Coleman, 4192 Mayapple Lane, and stay in Lakeside Preserve. So again, I stand before you to support the proposed townhome development and the rezoning of single-family homes to townhomes. This project is not just about constructing new residences, it's about embracing a vision for our community and moving towards the future, a future that provides or prioritizes growth, inclusiveness, and sustainability. As our city continues to grow, it is imperative that we think long-term and make decisions that will benefit all residents. Townhomes provide a more affordable and diverse housing option, making it possible for young professionals, families, seniors to live and thrive in our community together. This inclusiveness fosters a richer, more vibrant social fabric. Additionally, townhomes utilize land more efficiently, allowing for us to accommodate for more residents without sprawling onto undeveloped areas. This sustainable approach ensures that we can preserve the green spaces and maintain the charm of our city. Also, increased density from townhome development can lead to higher tax revenues, which can be reinvested into the community to improve infrastructure, schools, and public services. By approving this development, we are not just addressing housing needs of today, but we are setting a precedence for thoughtful, inclusive growth that will benefit our community for generations to come. I'd like to just touch on a few notable conditions that the developer has made as it relates to this development. The developer before us has offered restrictions on rental, and in comparison to my neighborhood, we do not have rentals on restrictions or restrictions on rental. And my neighborhood, unfortunately, has become a safe haven for investors. Nearly about half of the homes on my street alone have become rental properties. The investor before us offered to gate the community. I also live in a neighborhood that is ungated and has become accessible to some who desire to use our amenities and our roadways as thoroughfares without permission. The developer before us has also offered a privacy fencing where property abuts single-family homes. My neighborhood abuts directly to a property with no barriers as it relates to single-family homes that are being developed by a developer that's well known for poor construction and craftsmanship. In closing, I would just like to express pressing needs. In closing, I would like to express that the needs that have been expressed about concerns for the townhome are actually not often logical, and they're sometimes based in falsehoods. Thank you.
All right, up next, we have Jordana Arias.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed City Council members. My name is Jordana Arias from the Fulton County Government Center in downtown Atlanta. So I'm now the primary contact person for local municipal affairs. I sent you guys an email, but I just wanted to introduce myself formally. I connected with some of you prior to the meeting and just wanted to let you know that I'll be reaching out. I'm basically here, I've been going around the 15 cities, connecting with the mayors and the city councils to explore partnerships and see, community issues or learn more about the accomplishments you guys are doing. Fulton is now trying to develop better and stronger relationship with the elected officials and community members. And so, and then basically I write a report and work very closely with the county manager and also with provide policy recommendation to the chairman and also to the board of commissioners. So I just want to introduce myself and you'll be hearing from me soon. All right, thank you.
I didn't find out about this meeting until this evening.
In order to speak, you would have to sign up to speak. Are you trying to speak?
There wasn't one out there when I got here. I got here to be saying the pledge of allegiance. I didn't find out about the meeting until 5 o'clock today.
Yeah, and the time to submit public comments is between 6 p.m. and 6:20 p.m.
considered South Fulton resident, and I fill out the form, so do I get an opportunity to speak here today?
Yes, sir, I have your form, but East Point residents speak first.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Martin Roger, what's your point of order?
I have a question for the city attorney. Madam City Attorney, we do have a resident. Okay. Thank you. So can we just do a hard pause to see what the rule is?
On whether the young lady can speak about it not having signed up?
Yes, but also I think that she should know that she'll be able to speak. Okay.
Would you like to hear what the rule says? Yes, thank you. So Rule 28, which we read from a second ago to address the non-resident, also says that the public may speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Speakers must complete a comment form prior to the start of the meeting. So if she got here after the start of the meeting, then it's not in compliance with the rule. I don't see anything about time. I just read what the most recent version of the rules I have.
I'd like to make the motion to give the young lady in the back 3 minutes of speaking time during public comment hearing.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but now I've got a point of order, Madam Pro Tem. So there was a point of order raised by Councilmember Dr. Martin Rogers, which was followed by me reading the rules, which say something different from which her motion just read. Rule 2 provides that there can be a temporary suspension of the rules, but it must be passed by a vote of 2/3 of the members during a single meeting. So to have her motion even considered, you first have to determine whether or not you're going to suspend the rules, because her motion is in opposition to the rules.
All right, so what I'm going to do, Madam City Attorney, is withdraw that motion and make a new motion to temporarily suspend our rules for anyone who has missed public comment because of the agenda item number 1 that is on our agenda. I think we first need to find out how many other people would like to speak during public comment period. Is there opportunity for us to do that?
That would be to the chair's discretion, but you currently have made a motion to suspend the rules. And so if the chair would recognize that motion and determine if there is a second, then we need to act on that motion.
Can you repeat that?
I was just saying that it's the chair's discretion to determine some count of those persons that want to speak that didn't sign up. It's up to you, I would say, Madam Pro Tem. I don't think there's a rule to address counting up the persons that want to speak that didn't sign up. But she also, she as in Councilwoman Dr. Martin Rogers, also made a motion to temporarily suspend the rules. That would need to be addressed by the chair to get a second, see if there is a second. And then you guys can discuss, vote, the process.
So there's a motion on the floor to temporarily suspend the rules to allow the speakers who did not sign up in time to speak. Is there a second? I can second.
So as the mayor pro tem, don't think you give up your, privileges and, responsibilities as a council member. So, yeah, she puts it. I'm just going down to another set of rules, which is in the charter. I think it's section 2A. All right, yes, as the mayor pro tem says that your rights and duties as a council member shall remain unimpaired.
I'll second. So the move has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
Aye.
You may need to do roll call.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Shropshire,
Aye.
Councilmember Freely, Councilmember Ziegler. No. Councilmember Cummings.
No.
Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Butler.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Roger.
Yes.
The motion failed. The motion failed.
Okay, so the motion failed. So we will proceed as following. Madam City Clerk.
Up next, we have Ms. Anastasia Arena. Yeah. And FYI, these are all non-residents. You're welcome.
Hello, I'm back. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you. If I go over, I would like to reserve a few minutes of my husband's time he offered. So whatever that should not exceed more than 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm asking you today to hear me.
I'm sorry, real
Oh,
quick.
not starting yet?
Yes, I'm sorry. You say your husband, you want to give, okay. So I'm
Sorry,
gonna add-
Anthony Gonzalez, I apologize.
Got it.
Yes.
I'm gonna add his 3 minutes because he was the next speaker. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, I've introduced myself. I'm here to be heard. I am your neighbor and the owner of the property located alongside Old Fairburn Road, all 10 acres of it. I purchased the property in order to develop it. I spent time, resources, year after year. Commitment to this project is obvious. That also speaks of my character. I have hired a team of engineers, architects, and virtual designers to help me analyze and design this land into a conscious living development, which will forever alter Old Fairburn Road. That is a fact. I believe I am the best person for the job. Next one, I do not know. I do know that this property will be developed. And it is up to you by who and how. I read a petition on change.org under a title, Say No to the Rezoning. I responded with a counter petition, which was shared with you. Also, hundreds have signed. Here are my comments. Traffic study originally requested by the City of East Point was conducted in October of 2022, 1 year after COVID mandate was lifted. Same traffic study addressed 102 home development by D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton has no entry or exit on or from Old Fairburn Road. My proposed development, Soleil at East Point, features an internal road, making it safer for residents, minimizing traffic impact. Old Fairburn Road has issues with traffic speed design before I purchased my property or before I knew of its existence. Highlighting this major issue is just. I totally agree that a solution to same is a must, and I encourage and support such a petition. I own a property that is covering 405 feet directly alongside Old Fairburn Road. I am concerned and cautious of the traffic. I drove by my property yesterday, and I imagined it bare. I imagined it all trees gone, and it made me sad. To destroy, to deforest, and to unconsciously change the landscape of this sacred land would be a disservice to us all. Please hear me. We are all on the same page. This lot will be developed. Someone may do what the current zoning allows for, and it will mirror my neighbor, D.R. Horton. I would like to address the mistrust. I will not bore you with my life story. We do all have one. But here are a few facts that shaped me. I come from a lineage of intelligent, strong, wise women. I was taught and embodied integrity, grit, honor, and drive. I'm here now. I'm asking you to choose me. With that, I yield. Thank you for your time.
Lastly, we have Mr. Richard Allen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard B. Allen, and I'm a resident of the city of South Fulton, Georgia. I live at 3925 Wolf Creek Circle, within half a mile to 3/4 of a mile of this very site. I was here shortly a couple of weeks ago, and at that time I echoed around June 17th or 18th that I was in opposition to this development, of which I still am. And I cited my reasons for that opposition, okay? Based on what I know about what the developer is proposing to do, it is out of character with what our neighborhood is about. One of the persons that was up here earlier cited very clearly and succinctly that anyone living on that corridor from Camp Creek all the way to Union Road is single-family housing, okay? Townhomes, townhouses, the seeking of a rezoning for this property such that it's, 9 to 12 acres, somewhere in that vicinity, okay? And it's out of character with our neighborhood. We are not anti-development at all. We would just like to see something that's in character with what's already in our neighborhood. Now, developers, she cited some general things in terms of how she see it. And as a developer, I understand that. But we live here. We're gonna be there. You know, at my age now, I'll probably die where I'm a resident at now, you know, because I got enough sense to know that I got less days ahead of me than behind me. So consequently, I'm asking you all, as reasonable-minded people, to disapprove of this petition that they brought forth, you know, to do these townhouses on that area of Old Fairburn Road. Traffic, accidents, coming down a hill, and a host of other things, in my mind, I can see taking shape there. And people getting killed. We already have constant accidents as it is. So I'm pleading with you, you know, for whatever it's worth, and I hope it's a positive worth, that you would deny this petition. And I thank you for my time.
Those are all the public comments we have this evening.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. We will move on to the agenda items. Being that there are no consent agenda items, we will move on to the agenda item. First item, number 1, ordinance to amend official zoning map of East Point, Georgia from R1 Single Family Residential to RT Residential Townhomes located at 0 Old Fairburn Road. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, make a motion
I'm
that
in.
we open the floor for discussion and possible action on the proposed rezoning ordinance.
Open the floor for discussion and possible action. Is there a second? Motion has been moved and properly second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The motion is now open for discussion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm in for discussion.
Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Yes, and I just want to say that my feelings about this property are the same as they were a couple of weeks ago when it was brought before us and we had a room full of Lakeside Preserve residents and people that resided in and around the surrounding community. But these are some facts that I wrote down this evening. And my first fact is the fact that a developer was so desperate to create a change.org petition speaks volumes to professionalism, and it also lacks tact. I'm someone who resides in a community in which I've been in my community for over 20 years. And within that 20-year span, a developer came before East Point City Council many, many years ago and requested a rezone from light industrial to residential. I live in the community of Heritage Park. He also was responsible for developing Savannah Walk. And they didn't bother to listen to residents that live adjacent or live near the area. They voted to rezone, and now we live with the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport operating 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. We have constant truck traffic, constant accidents along Ben Hill Road. It's poor lighting in my community and along Ben Hill Road, and we also have narrow streets. We deal with heavy truck traffic that gets turned around, and our community sits in the middle of a light industrial zoning district. The developer was in way over his head, and unfortunately, he took the easy way out. When you think you know what's best for a community, you don't unless you live there, which brings me to my points. On January 16, 2024, the council member that represents 1492 Central Avenue knew what was best as it related to the container storage facility. Mind you, no one from the community was present or spoke in opposition. Then there was Lizzie's Cigar Lounge. It appeared on the agenda April 8th, April 15th, and then on May 6th. I read the comments on Facebook, and then I thought to myself, as an official or a resident, what is best for this community? And again, on April 15th, 2024, the city council member that represents 2741 Church Street knew what was best for his community, although 6 speakers spoke in favor and 2 in opposition. Our last council meeting was on June 17th, 2024. 4 people technically spoke in favor, but really it was only 1 because one of those people was the attorney and the other one was the developer, and the other person didn't even live or reside in the South Fulton area. 17 people were against this development. I would also like to add that the council chambers were standing room only. This is a community that is in my ward that I represent. The community is not against the development. It's just the kind of development. Developers should not be permitted to come into our city and dictate or do change.org petitions in order to bully our residents to get what they want. Because technically that is what it is. They're telling us what's best for our city. They're telling the people that live in Lakeside Preserve and the surrounding community what is best for them. And ultimately, those people have to live there. She's going to make her money, and I do believe her address was in Buckhead. She's going right back to Buckhead. So developers should not be permitted to come into our city and dictate when to change our ordinances to suit them and not the people that live here. And those are my comments. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Are there any more discussion? Well, I'm going to give a few words. Here's my position. I think we all are for development, but it's the kind of development. And not one time did I hear the residents say that they were not for development. What they said was they are not for the townhomes. What they said was they don't mind the single family homes, is in keeping with what's already there. Time and time again, we have to make decisions and we have to listen to both sides. And then we have to decide what's best for the residents and what's best for East Point. I strongly feel if you are living in that community, you know what's best for your community. Not one time did they say they were against it. I strongly feel this way. Your intentions might be good, but at the end of the day, when you build those townhomes, you are going to sell it off, do whatever it is that you want to do, and move on. No one can tell a homeowner that they cannot rent their residence out. No one is going to, no homeowners organization is going to agree that they can't rent their property out to renters or Airbnb. Because if you are an investor, you are here to make money. And let me be clear, I don't have a problem with renters because there are a lot of people who prefer to rent so they don't have to maintain the homes. That is not what I'm saying. Once you build and someone purchases it, you cannot tell them what they can and cannot do. Developers come into the city, and a lot of times they don't listen to what it is that the residents want, and that's where the breakdown comes in. Because you want it your way, and they want it what they want because they live in the neighborhood, they live in the community, and they understand. And at the end of the day, they're not trying to sell their homes and move anywhere else because they like where they live. And they prefer it to remain like that. Now, far as the comments about the gate that should have been put up, the speeding, I think the city can look into that. Far as a gated community, that's on the person who developed the townhomes. But at the end of the day, it is what the residents want. And if the residents are saying we are opposed to townhomes, we want homes, at some point you have to listen to them. And my question would be, you live in Buckhead. Would you want that in your community? No. No, ma'am. You've had your time. No, you've had your time. So I'm going to, I see that there is one council member, two. My light is not on, so I don't know who is in order. So I am going to go to Councilmember Ziegler, and I'll yield my comments.
Thank you to everybody who showed up and let your voices be heard. It is very appreciated. Now, when it comes to making decisions on if we should rezone things or not, we do need to listen to the residents, but we also need to look at the comprehensive plan and what that suggests what we should do. Our comprehensive plan is our guiding light, and according to the comprehensive plan, the area that is in question is a growing residential area. And additionally, it does sound like that it's going to be, a environmentally sustainable development. They're going to keep the trees, and that's something that is pretty much unheard of, because almost every developer that I've known, they clear cut. Even when they say they're going to keep trees, they just clear cut the whole thing. But her whole marketing thing is living in the trees. And when it comes to rezoning different properties, we also look to staff, and it looks like that the Planning Commission and staff both they're both approving this development. No, that was denied. But but anywho, for the comprehensive plan, it does say that this is a growing residential area, and this does follow that.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. And I want to thank everyone that has come out this evening, and for those that are viewing on social media as well. Wow. We have people that are for and against this project. The residents of Lakeside Preserve, I do hear and I do understand, what your concerns are. I know we talk about the traffic that's going to come through, that's going to be a major impact. She's looking to build 41 units. And if every resident in there, we're talking about, let's just say they did have, if they doubled up, they had 2 cars per home. You're looking at about 80 additional vehicles. COVID has shown us one thing. If you look at the times that people get out, they go to work, they come back home, it's normally between that 6, 8 o'clock time and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not the case now with COVID. We have a lot of people that they work from home. The times are different. I understand that there's going to be traffic. There's always going to be traffic that comes down Camp Creek Parkway. That is a major thoroughfare. It feeds into Camp Creek Marketplace. It feeds into the residents that come from South Fulton, those that are on Old Fairburn Road. Now, you all have a D.L. Horton. They're building 102, 105 homes. And they come out on Juliet, but they still have to make their way back down to Fairburn. That's going to feed into that also. I don't know if anyone expressed as much concern as they have for this developer here. She's wanting to bring something new and nice to East Point. She owns 10 acres. She's only looking to use 6 of those 10 acres. She's wanting to build an eco-friendly community. The townhomes that she's talking about, it's no more than what they have going down if you go into Hapeville. And I know this is East Point. It's not Hapeville, but we still want to make sure that we continue to develop our city. Everyone that has come through here that wants to build some sort of major community, we do have one that's on Stone Road. They do have the one D.L. Horton is building, but we still need people to come in to move to this community. We want to continue to do some diversity, do some different types of homes that are coming into the city. The townhomes, I think they're gorgeous. I think it's something, it's going to be different. It's still in the woods. They're gonna preserve 4 acres. They're still looking to give us some amenities as well. They're gonna be some bike racks. They're gonna be some walking trails in there, some green space areas. And I understand, you know, what the heartburn is, what the concern is. I mean, but we still want to make sure that we continue to move the city forward. The thing about it is East Point touches right on the city of Atlanta. Atlanta, if you go from Midtown and you spread out, it's coming. Everything is now starting to be engulfed into the city. They are developing everywhere. One thing that they aren't creating anymore is land. The land that we have, that's it. Every piece of land that developers can get their hands on, they are going to do some sort of development on there. Miss Anastasia, she's sincere and come to, and I still don't know what she may or may not do, but she's coming to us. She's being sincere about it. I think we still need to make sure as residents that we do hold her accountable for those things that she says that she's going to do. And I don't think that she has a problem with that. And I know you all said that you all aren't against development, but if she can't do the townhomes and she's able to build 18 homes, you think it's bad now. Think about 18 driveways coming off of 16 to 18 driveways coming off of Old Fairburn Road. At least for this community, there's one common driveway that comes off of the back. I think they'll do a cut-in area that it'll merge into Old Fairburn Road. But you look at 16 to 18 additional driveways coming off of Fairburn Road, and I drove up that street. I wouldn't even want to have to pull off of there and come in and come out onto Old Fairburn Road. So the thing is, and I know, yes, I've heard comments that she lives in Buckhead. I'm sorry that developers a lot of them don't live where they build, but that still doesn't mean that she's gonna come in here and build some trash, and we shouldn't allow her to do that as well. You have D.L. Horton that's gonna put 102 houses in there. I don't know how many of those will end up being rental properties, but I'm sure that some of them probably will. Her price point starts at $475,000. That's what a typical house is today. That's just the price. That's the going price of housing. We even have someone that came up and he's already interested in purchasing one of these properties. The value of the homes, it will help to increase the values of those homes that are in Lakeside Preserve. And then when I drove through there, you have the Lakeside Preserve community. There's an access, your access road for the neighborhood. There's a wood buffer. There's what D.L. Horton is building, another wood buffer, a stream, and then the area that she's looking to build in. You have a whole community, a whole neighborhood that's going to be in between what she's building and what you guys already have. And I understand that we want to keep things the same and you want to keep it consistent with what it is that it's happening there, but we have to continue to move the city forward. So I am in support of the project. I hope that you all, will just kind of at least be open. And like I said, if this does pass and she is the builder, she does build in there, we make sure that we hold her accountable. Those things that you all are asking for, that we're asking that she do, we make sure that we hold her accountable for that. I yield.
Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Thank you. I want to go back to the council member that discussed the comprehensive plan, so I'll wait. Yeah, Councilmember Ziegler, in your comments previously, you discussed the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was last updated in 2022. If staff wanted it to be townhomes, it would have been changed in that zoning update in the comprehensive plan. As far as the comprehensive plan, it still states that the same plan, inside the same plan, it states it as a growing R1 single family home residential community. So I don't know why you mentioned the comprehensive plan. The other thing is this. The council member to my left said that she could build the townhomes, but why can't she follow our ordinances and build the 10 homes and make those a price point of $500,000? Like, she has asked us to come in here and change our ordinances, and we need to listen to the residents in our community, because I guarantee you, they say that they've been to the area, but I guarantee you the council members haven't come and looked at the area, because this happened previously when the community had to battle with Microsoft None of them had been to the area to know the true impact that the rezoning has had to our community. And we are left with Microsoft, 2 large-scale data centers the size of football fields and a substation. And in fact, when a council member who is on this council wanted to debate me, and I lived in the community and knew what was coming to the community, but she felt that it was what was best and it was going to help the community. What has happened since Microsoft has been there is the foundation of our homes is cracked. The wildlife continues to die in the area. And we deserve something better as being residents in that community. So I am not going to support this. And that is my stance. I'm going to stand with the people because I know personally and firsthand how rezoning impacts a community. So I yield. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you. Real quick, and not to go back and forth, because that's not what we're here for. But the statement that I made when I've ridden through these neighborhoods, I have ridden through the neighborhoods. I can tell you exactly what it looks like because I've actually driven through. Even when they were talking about the Microsoft project, I actually went over and I spoke with the guys that were doing the construction to find out exactly what it was. So, like I said, not to go back and forth, but when I come and I speak and I about the things that I said that I've seen, just know that I actually have gone and I've gone out and I've seen it. So let's just be clear when we make these statements. Just make sure that we're truthful with the statements. I yield.
Councilmember Martin Rogers.
And again, as someone who resides in the community, I know what Microsoft has done to our community. And you voted for Microsoft, correct? Yeah.
Okay.
As a member of the community, I have firsthand knowledge. So yeah, you may have driven through, but you don't live there.
Councilmember
You don't-
Martin. Councilmember Martin. Okay. Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. How you doing? I know it's tense. I'm tense too. I couldn't sleep all last week. All right. Madam City Clerk, do you mind sharing that for me on the screen?
Is this a presentation or
Yeah, it's part of my comments.
is what?
For my comments regarding this project. Thank you. First of all, I've been thinking about this project a lot. When I address you, the ladies and gentlemen here in the audience and those people online, you guys, the community elected me to make sure I protect the community. You wanted me to protect your assets and you want me to solve problems. You elected me because you trusted me to do the job. And I'm asking that you please allow me to try to protect your community and address your concerns. You are absolutely right. The developer is asking for an exception. We should not issue an exception unless the project protects the community's quality of life. and it's something that's absolutely extraordinary. So I asked the people online and the people here, that property to the left is on May Apple Lane and Lakeside Preserve, and the property to the right, if it were a single family unit with the same dimensions as what's in Lakeside, could we not agree that the property has equal or greater material value in terms of construction and how it's made? Can we agree on that? The reason why that's important is because if you can't agree, you have to, the property here is one side brick and it's fascia board. Well, they're proposing, if it's the same property on the same lot and it was in Lakeside Preserve, would you not agree that's the materials are the same value or greater? We have to consider that, because one of the things we have to do is look at the history of Lakeside Preserve and what those homes on May Apple were supposed to be single family attached, i.e. townhomes. The next slide, please. So what if we do nothing? Because what people want is for the property to remain R1. So I did my homework because I want to know what happens. Because when we had Kevin Taylor come and talk to us, or like there, I took notes and I listened to what people's concerns were. If we do nothing and let this property remain as is, then the minimum lot allowed under R1 is 10,000 square feet. With 10 acres, that means you can build one house at approximately 1/4 of an acre. So that means you could put 4 houses on an acre. If we did nothing, a developer can put 4 houses on an acre. So when we're talking about density, I just want us to have all the facts. My job is not to do what I want to do. My job is to listen to the community and solve problems. So I'm not going to talk to you. Let's go to the next slide, please. So what I heard when everybody came, whether you were on Old Fathom Road or Lakeside Preserve, the number one issue was traffic. Number 2, property values. People are concerned about their safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. So much so, the quality of life, that's what struck me the most, because it's one of those things that are kind of intangible. So when we had Miss Francisco of Trout Little talked about quality of life, she was the first person to talk about quality of life. That's what we're talking about. Is this development going to diminish your quality of life? And that's very important. The traffic, like Ms. Moran talked about earlier, that can hurt the quality of life. These are problems in which we need to find solutions. And so, can we go to the next slide? One of the things we talked about, Ms. Cox talked about, I think she lives on Old Fathom Road too. And she said it right. She said something about the standard. I want to make sure I get it right. Property value, low-end townhomes on our side of town. She also talked about the driveway not being big enough for only one car and not being able to park 3 cars. So I want to let you know that I'm listening, because there are problems. And what we don't want to have is what's on Old National and Camelot. I know y'all are here, some of y'all here old enough to remember when Camelot was real nice. And now it's a mess. And you don't want that mess in your backyard. The real threat to your community is something we have no control over, and that's the Horton development. Because what's happening, let me say it this way. Part of protecting the community and doing the job you entrusted me with is I have information that you don't have. And it's my job to try to share and communicate with you that in order that I can protect you. The problem is, you saw the news story. 19,000 homes owned by 3 corporations. That Horton development, which we can't do anything about, if they choose to make it a rental property and rent all those houses out, it directly affects your quality of life and your property value. And there's nothing we can do about that. So the reason why I said that is because what if we can do something today to protect your quality of life? If we don't do anything to that property, then whoever comes and puts single family homes in that can do whatever they like. They can rent them all out. They can build, we all know in Clayton County, those Horton homes, they lasted 1 year. And there's nothing we can do about that. And you will have the same property, same problem on Old Family Road. So what if we can do something to protect you, to ensure that this doesn't be like, excuse me, oh wow, I'm getting nervous. That to ensure that we don't have a Camelot situation, that we don't have a development where all the properties are rented out. Because I seriously gave it some thought, and I did some reading, and I did some research. And the problem is, how do you stop any rental property from being like Camelot? I live in Duke of Gloucester in Williamsburg. There are apartments adjacent to my property. I'm worried that in 20 years, those apartments are going to be like what's on Washington Road and Camp Creek, that used to be where all the people used to live back in the 80s. And now they don't live there. So how do you stop that? How do you have an opportunity to do that? That's what we want to try to solve that problem. And I have a solution to that if the community really is interested in solving that issue, because whether we rezone this property or not, the problem is still there. And on that, I save my time and I'll talk later.
Are there any more discussion before we vote on this item? Being none, let me say this, and then we're gonna move to vote. Once whatever action council takes tonight, the developer can do whatever it wants to do at that moment. Once you vote on it, it is up that developer can go in and build how they choose to, how they want to. Because you've already voted. You can't go and change the plan and tell them they can't do this, they can't do that. The comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan says R1, residential, single family home. And that is what this community has asked for, residential, single family home, whether it be that. So when you talk about renting out homes, they can rent out the townhomes as well. They can rent out the townhomes and use them as Airbnb. I think the residents have spoken. I think they have expressed their concerns. I think they have, it's pretty much leading it up to the council to make the decision, what they feel. So I'm going to call for the question. So there's a motion on the floor to open up the floor for discussion. And was it a possible action? So I'm gonna call for the question. One needs to make a motion.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I make the motion that we approve for the rezoning of 0 Fairburn Road from residential to residential townhome. Is that the?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, can I just interrupt a second?
Please.
I do believe that there were conditions that were presented by staff. If the council did seek to approve, and so my only question would be whether or not Councilwoman Cummings' motion includes those conditions.
I will have the planning and zoning director to come and state those conditions.
I can state them. Oh, you want her to do it, or I can state them in here? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. While she's doing that, I would like to second the motion, but I have additional conditions also.
Those conditions would need to be added to the motion, not added, unless you are debating the motion to minutes, her motion to add conditions.
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Maybe let's see what they offer, so that Councilwoman Cummings can perfect her motion.
Okay.
Thank you. The Planning and Zoning, the Planning Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommendations are as follows. Planning Commission, the first condition is the Planning and Community Development Department shall have administrative oversight and approval of proposed design standards. The building elevations shall vary in style and design, composed of brick, glass, stone, stucco, or any combination thereof. The corner units shall be brick. The building elevations shall be staggered to have articulation throughout. No two buildings shall have the same architectural design. Condition number 2, there shall be an opaque privacy fence where property abuts single-family residential. Condition number 3, the project shall have sidewalks, open space, and buffers. Condition number 4, the project shall provide a site plan with proposed amenities identified and labeled. Condition number 5 states a noise study, that shall be a traffic study, shall be completed prior to any land disturbance permits, building permits, and/or plan review applications are accepted. Condition number 6, applicant must provide enhanced landscaping lighting plan to be approved by the city arborist and planning staff.
And if I may amend the motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Cummings, can you state the ordinance? You state the motion. Want to make sure that it's correct in what's on here.
Okay. So do I state all those were items 1 through
So whatever your motion is,
Mhm.
if it includes the conditions or not includes
Yes.
conditions, you need to say that.
Okay.
Please note, though, that in the staff's presentation, she did indicate that number 5 has a typo. Instead of noise study, it should say traffic study.
Point of order.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is I would like to direct a question because if staff has recommendations, is it appropriate for a council member to then add additional recommendations? I'm just curious.
Conditions, you mean?
I believe Councilmember Butler has some additional recommendations.
Conditions.
How does that fit into what we are doing here?
Right, so they're conditions, not recommendations. They're conditions on, like, contingent on the rezoning. And so any of the council members may add or take away conditions. You are not bound by what staff says. Just like if there was a motion to disapprove or deny the rezoning, you're not bound by what staff says whatsoever. You're not bound by the planning commission. So if there are 6 here, a motion could be to approve the rezoning with no conditions, with 2 conditions, with 20 conditions. It really is up to whoever is the maker of the motion, and if that person can get a second and a majority vote.
But I guess my question is, Councilmember Butler has not brought any of his recommendations before council. Is it appropriate that we move forward with this? Because he said that he has recommendations as well. So is it appropriate that we move forward with his recommendations in addition to what our staff is recommending? That's my question.
So if you're asking whether a council member needed to bring those conditions prior to the meeting, it's not required. However,
Correct.
that's why every motion and second should be followed by a discussion, so that if there are any questions or commentary regarding what the motion entailed, that's your opportunity to get to the nitty-gritty of whatever the motion was. And that would certainly impact your vote.
Right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I want to withdraw my initial motion and restate it. So I'd like to make a motion for approval for the official zoning map rezoning for property located at 0 Fairburn Road, known as parcel ID 14F0038 LL0218 and parcel ID 14F0038 LL0192 respectively, from R1 Single Family Residential to RT Residential Townhome per the applicant's request with the conditions.
I second with a friendly amendment to the motion. I would like to address the concerns of the community by adding the following conditions. The first condition shall be the project shall have a 20-foot undisturbed buffer along Old Fairburn Road frontage and have an ornate wrought iron fence. This is because when Ms. Rogers said that how do we guarantee that they do what's supposed to be done, these ordinances or these conditions are to guarantee that. That condition number 2 would be a 10-foot landscape
Could you
buffer.
repeat the first condition?
The first condition will be a 20-foot undisturbed buffer along Old Fairburn Road. This addresses the fact that there will be no clear cutting. The second is a 10-foot landscape buffer along the north and south property line. The third, to ensure we get what was promised, that the construction be glass and steel building materials are added as conditions of the building materials outlined by staff earlier. 4, add a deceleration lane and left-hand turn lane on Fairburn Road to try to mitigate the dangers and the speed on that street. Number 5, the project's interior street should be wide enough to accommodate on-street parking. Number 6, added sidewalks along the entire property frontage with a 2-foot landscape strip. Number 7, the project shall include sidewalks within the development. Number 8, increase the front yard setback to 20 feet so that they can park those 2 cars in the garage and park those additional 2 cars outside, so you won't have traffic on the street like one of the other people mentioned. Number 9, update the traffic study to include new development in the area. If the traffic study already has that, then it's already updated. But there should be a new traffic study just in case. Number 10, only 4 units shall be allowed as non-owner occupied rental property max. Number 11, whole house short-term rental will not be allowed. Number 12, the developer has 1 year to start construction. If not properly zoned, if not, the property zoning can be reverted back to R1 with a vote of council. Those are the conditions which I would like to add to the motion in order to protect what the residents have addressed their concerns to be.
Are there any discussion?
Yes, I'm in for discussion.
Wait. I can't. Oh, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion has been approved and properly second. Are there any discussion?
Yes. I'm in.
Councilmember Cummings, are you?
No.
Okay,
Yes, I'm in for
Turn your light off.
discussion. So with this motion, I would like to add another friendly amendment in lieu of what was mentioned before. I would like to also, well, first I want to go in for discussion. And my discussion question is, Councilmember Butler, you gave us a list of items here, and my concern is for a couple of items. They're really good recommendations, but my first concern is number 10, 4 units non-owner occupied. There's no one in this city to monitor whether a unit is owner occupied or not, because look at the number of rentals that we have in East Point. The second issue is number 11, you say no short-term rental. We don't even have anything in place as a council to prohibit or limit no short-term rental. The other issue that I have is the update traffic study, because the one that was presented was from 2022. We're now in 2024, so I can agree with that. For an updated traffic study, and then the 1 year to start the construction. But I would like to also make a friendly amendment that we add the following conditions, that with everything Councilmember Butler said, number 13, let's make it a gated community. I believe that was one of the concerns of the residents. So mine would be number 13, that this becomes a gated community. And then the other one is, you did mention butlers. You did mention privacy buffers, but we know that unless it's an evergreen tree, it's not going to stay green year round. And that also impedes maybe the next community that's next to it. But why don't we add in a wall to go along the side of this community? The back of this community should have, what, a 20-foot wall, maybe 40-foot wall, so that it sections this community from something else. Since we're providing recommendations to staff in regards to this, or what's the highest wall?
I just wanted to state that for condition number 2 that was proposed by Planning Commission, there shall be an opaque privacy fence where property abuts single-family residential is already, it's condition number 2.
So an opaque fence is see-through? Help me understand.
Not, opaque means you cannot see through it.
So an opaque fence?
Yes.
So this would be in lieu of the privacy wall on that property?
Correct.
Can you pull that up as to what that'll look like? Can you pull it up? I'm sorry. Or
Pull
no?
up the,
Can you, Mr. City Manager, can you
Yeah.
turn your mic on?
I was just trying to say, was this Google Earth you're trying for, council member? Is it,
Yes, to see what that opaque
if we got an
fence looks
aerial,
like.
Kim?
No, it
These
should
are
be right there, slide
conditions.
23.
They're conditions.
Yes, can you pull up slide 23?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You see it?
That's
All right. So where would this opaque fencing be?
If you can just use your cursor, Kim.
It's going to
Or
be
Lee.
on the southern boundary of the property.
Lee, are you able to move your cursor on?
The southern border, boundary line, the entire length.
And how tall is that?
Fences, I believe in our residential is, it's 6 feet. Privacy fences are 6 feet.
So how tall is 6 feet? Can you just give me, is it
Like 3
above
inches
the
shorter than I
house,
am.
6 feet? Like,
The height of the average male.
About 3 inches shorter.
the what now? What is it? What is it, the height of the average what? Like
Male.
backyard?
It's not the advertisement.
6 feet?
No, 6 feet, yeah.
6 feet is, I'm 5'4", so 6 inches taller than me.
All right, so, and then,
Yeah.
in addition to my amendment, most of these developers that come in, they put lighting at every six houses. I would like a street lamp at every third house in the community.
Is that an added condition?
Yeah. A light post. Most of these developers come in and at every 6 houses, it's a light post, which it's not a well-lit community. So we need to make sure that there's lighting at every third home. And then I didn't hear any information about a green space.
Condition number 3 provides for open space and buffers. If you look at the site plan, I want to say that, do we have the percentage of development? This is kind of, it's proposed to be built as a conservation type of development. You go back to the site plan, it shows the open space, proposed
And then
open
while we're
space.
waiting on that, how, do you know how the city or I guess that would be a question for our city manager. How is the city handling no short-term rentals?
That's a good
Because this
question.
is one of his conditions and that's number
Yeah.
11. So it's saying no short-term rentals. How does the city even manage something like that?
Well, I'm certain that we'd probably handle it on a complaint basis, obviously.
A complaint basis?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that look like, Mr. Interim
We,
City
we,
Manager?
we receive a complaint from a resident about someone operating unlawfully. Code enforcement is advised, they make contact. Their job is to investigate suspected or reported violations of our codes. We receive those, either suspicion or complaint.
And with 41, it's 41 units, with 4 units only being non-owner occupied, how do we manage that?
We could require them to state on their plat that only 4 houses be,
That's less than 10%, isn't it?
or whatever the number is. I mean, that's how we would provide for the administrative operation. That's how we would oversee
Yeah,
that
that's
condition.
10%.
That's what you did.
4.1. So that's my friendly amendment to these, yep. Let's make it a gated community.
In reference, can I speak? In reference to the short-term rentals, RT zoning district allows for the whole house and the homestay. And there are business licenses that are required for the whole house. So that would be the way that we would regulate whether they're able to do it or not if this was approved as part of the conditions.
Madam Pro Tem, I missed that last.
But wouldn't that require?
Wait. Madam City Attorney.
If the staff could just repeat that last part she just said, I missed that.
In reference to the short-term rentals, currently our ordinance states that in RT zoning district, you are allowed for short-term rentals, whole house and homestay. However, if a condition was placed on this rezoning petition to not allow whole house, the whole house zoning petition, when someone comes forward with the application, requires for them to have a business license, and it would be denied at that time upon submission of a business license petition, as well as the home short-term rental, whole house short-term rental application.
But, okay, and this is gonna be my last question. That would be the person coming forth. What if I decided as a homeowner not to even do that and I wanted to rent out my property? I could just rent out my property, correct?
I guess you could.
That would require me coming before the city saying, hey, I want this to be an Airbnb. That would require us putting good faith in the homeowners. And as a person that lives in a community that is 40% rental properties, I can assure you that it's just about the dollar at the end of the day. It's not about the people that currently reside in the community. But those are my added conditions. That's my friendly amendment. So we have a third amendment now.
So, and Madam City Attorney, I'm gonna need you to help me with this one. Do I now make are the friendly amendments accepted before I move to the next speaker?
So her friendly amendment would need a second. We would have to vote on these amendments, right? And so just because they are made doesn't make them, we would need to vote to make them a part of the main motion, which is Councilwoman Cummings' motion, which was only the first 6 that we saw on the screen, right? Then we got a second from Councilman Butler to add.
Councilmember Mitchell. Oh, what, the Councilmember Butler
Yeah,
seconded to add his.
10 or 11, 12, thank you. He made 12 additional amendments, right? And so we need to vote on whether or not to add those to the main motion. Then we need to vote whether to add Councilwoman Dr. Martin Rogers' amendments to the main motion. We're still in discussion, however, and I would like an opportunity to discuss. Although I'm not a member of the voting body, I think there's some things that you guys need to be aware of with respect to some of these amendments.
Okay.
Some of which, conditions, additional conditions. Some of them are covered by the code. So you realize you have design standards, you have subdivision regulations in your zoning code already. And so the conditions are in addition to what the zoning code already regulates, right? And so it doesn't mean that the other regulations in the zoning code go away. It means now that they have additional conditions for this project to make it fit within the vision of the governing body and within the newly approved zoning district if so approved. So if you pull up the first 6 that Ms. Smith put up, sidewalks was something Councilman Butler said. That's already required in number 3. I think though that could be developed a little more, that the project shall have sidewalks. It's not clear whether that's within, around, you know, all of that, right? So that would need some zhuzh, if you will. And it could probably capture a lot or a couple of the conditions that Councilman Butler already said. There's also a lighting plan on number 6. I heard Dr. Martin Rogers talk about a lighting plan. Number 6 covers that. We talked about a landscape plan. Number 6 requires an enhanced landscape plan. Granted, that is subjective language, but it is up to the staff to ensure that what's approved fits the aesthetics and the characteristics of the neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. I took some notes. We've got increased setbacks for the front yard. Well, that may run afoul of the number 4, which there is a site plan that may have a different setback in that project, right? So if the RT provides for a setback that says it's 10 feet or 12 feet, that may change what site plan has already been submitted in consideration of the rezoning. The 4 units, non-owner occupied. So usually that kind of stuff is regulated by HOA as opposed to the governing body. We have to make sure that we are clear that any action by this body that tries to regulate, inspect, require registration of rentals is not allowed by OCGA 387430, something like 367430. So I get Councilwoman Rogers' point. To bring all of these conditions at this time makes it difficult because now we got to discuss it. Not that it's illegal, not that it's inappropriate. It just requires us to discuss them because they will, some of them already are in the code. Some of them are already encapsulated in the conditions already in the main motion. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Cummings?
Jesus, I don't even know at this point. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just one thing, I know we made the comment about the 40-foot wall, putting a wall up 20, 40 feet. You can do that same thing, a buffer with those Leland cypress. They're evergreen, they don't die. They go anywhere from, they grow up to 30 to 60 feet. They're 8 feet wide. So, I mean, that could possibly serve as a rear buffer, but you still already have the natural, just from what's already there, just all the trees that are there anyway. And I think part of it was that you guys weren't gonna cut back all of that anyway. But if we still wanted some sort of additional buffering, you can also look at the Leland cypress. I yield.
Thank you. And I do have a question. I have a question. Councilmember Butler spoke about street widening. My question is in reference to that. Is it on Old Fairburn Road? Is it within the townhomes? What street widening? And my question to the attorney, I know they can't do any street widening on Fairburn Road. On Old Fairburn Road, that's the city or the state. So what street widening are you speaking of?
I'm speaking of the property inside, not on Old Fairburn Road, but I am asking that we have a cutout deceleration lane in order to protect the safety of the community. And we have a left turning lane so that people can turn into the property and be safe.
They don't. And that is why I asked the question, because this question came up many, many years ago on a development in East Point that was, I knew it involved Stone Road, somewhere within Camp Creek. I can't quite remember. You might remember because you was on council. And former mayor wanted the developer to do the same thing. And they were not required to do it, and they didn't do it. So that's a question. And when it came up, I remember that incident, what happened, and it had to do something with Stone Road, and it was Stone Road. It was somewhere on Camp Creek leading to Stone Road. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that incident I remember. So, being that there are no more discussion, I'm gonna call for the question. Wait, okay. The- Oh, okay, so we gotta do it. Okay, so the question is what amendments will be added and not added to the main motion? We gotta vote to add those amendments to the motion. Discussion. All of those, both amendments by both. So, is there a motion to? And then we gotta go add, and then, okay, so Madam City Clerk, do you have the first amendments? Or the first I don't know why I keep calling them amendments, let me be clear on the record. Recommendations. Conditions. Conditions.
Yeah, you need me to go down the line.
Yes, can you state the conditions?
And Councilmember Butler, let me know if I missed something. 10-foot landscape, oh, sorry. Project should have 20 feet undisturbed buffer and wrought iron fence, 10-foot landscape buffer along property line, add a deceleration lane. Project street should accommodate street parking, adding sidewalks in the development, increase the setback 20 feet, update the traffic study to include the new development in the area. Only 4 units should be allowed as rental property. Short-term rental is not allowed. Developer has 1 year to start construction, and if not, it can be reverted back. Am I missing something?
It was close.
Okay, what did I miss?
I'm gonna go through it again so we're on the same page. The project should have a 20-foot undisturbed buffer along Old Fairburn Road. 10-foot landscape buffer along the north and south property line. To be added to the building material should be glass and steel. An added deceleration lane and left-hand turn lane off Fairburn Road should be added. Project's interior street shall be wide enough to accommodate on-street parking. Add sidewalks along the entire property frontage with a 2-foot landscape strip. Project shall include sidewalks within the development. Number 8, increase front yard setback to 20 feet. Number 9, update traffic study to include new development in the area. Number 10, only 4 units shall be allowed as non-owner occupied rental property maximum. Number 11, whole house short-term rental is not allowed. Number 12, developer has 1 year to start construction. If not, the property zoning can revert back to R1 with a vote of council. Those are the conditions I wish to add to the rezoning.
should only include the first 6. This would now make it 6 plus 12 is 18.
I think there's one more discussion. One.
Yeah, at this time, I am going to withdraw my motion. This is just too convoluted. Now, I have recommendations that I would like to make. Councilmember Butler has come with an additional 12 recommendations, and I just don't feel comfortable, because if this is the case, then we need to hear from the community again as to what they are in favor of if this goes through. I don't have to live in the area. I just have to represent the people there. But these 12 additional recommendations are concerning. I don't even know if these, I mean, I know council member brought them, but what does staff recommend with these additional 12 recommendations? This just needs more time to be thought out. So I'm going to withdraw my motion and I yield.
Thank you. Question, and I have a question too. So my question is this. I do have, and I've said it, short-term rental in whole house. And I heard what Ms. Smith said. There's no oversight when it comes to Airbnb. There's no oversight. I have someone in my neighborhood right now, and I was asking the city what was that house, and come to find out it is an Airbnb that do a 6-month rental. And the cleaning lady told me, but when I asked staff, I couldn't get an answer. So there's no oversight, and I said that once you build, you cannot regulate a homeowner or an investor on how they're going to do their property. Now, I do agree with Councilmember Martin Rogers with these additional conditions. If you want the residents to understand, that should have been said to them before this meeting to get it, to see if that's something that they would agree to. But to come and say these are the conditions without having that conversation with them beforehand, I have a problem with that.
Madam Pro Tem, I would just say one thing, that the way to control and regulate is through your code enforcement. So your conditions, whatever they are, right, whatever they shake out to be based on this motion, if it passes, it's for staff, code enforcement, business license, and all your other police power departments to enforce your code. So even with your vote, that has to be, you have the police power to ensure that your vote is maintained, the integrity of it.
So, Miss City Attorney, with all due respect, I haven't seen code enforcement in my area in over 6 months. So I have little faith in code enforcement. I'm sorry. So, Councilmember Butler.
Yes, ma'am. These conditions came about after listening to the residents voice their concern. Ms. Rogers, Imani Rogers, she said it best. How do we guarantee these people build what they're supposed to build? You put a condition on it. When we had Ms. Francisco, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Cox, that asked about quality of life, they're concerned about low-end townhomes. They were right. How you regulate that is, what I've seen historically is when you have a plethora of renters, as in what happened in Camelot, then the property value decreases. But that's the condition where you can only have 4 people, non-owner occupied rental. When we talk about short-term rentals. Our RT allows for whole house short-term. So I am in this condition, if approved, they will not be able to have whole house short-term rentals. These conditions came about listening to the community and trying to be proactive in protecting them for what could come, a plethora of single-family rental properties that can continue to do the opposite of what they want to do, which is protect their property values, protect their quality of life. So it's impossible to have these conditions before because they're a result of listening to the people. Having said that, I ask for the vote by calling for the question for the friendly amendment to the original motion.
Okay, as the chair, I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna have the vote. I'm gonna call for the question. But again, I will say, these conditions, this is not the first time that these residents have spoken. This is not the first time that they have stated these things. There should have been some type of conversation with them before tonight about these conditions. Because what I see, still, no townhomes. That's the signs that I'm looking at, no townhomes. So they're not agreeing to those conditions. They're not agreeing to what is being put out here. So now, I'm calling for the question for a vote. Madam City Clerk, can you state what the motion, what it was?
What the 12 conditions were?
What was the motion to the conditions?
Do you need me to state the 12 conditions with it? Mhm. Correct. So the motions added would be the project shall have a 20-foot undisturbed buffer along Fairburn Road frontage with an ornamental wrought iron fence, 10-foot landscape buffer along the north and south property line. Glass and steel building materials are added. Building materials, add deceleration lane, and left-hand turn lane off Fairburn Road. Project's interior street shall be wide enough to accommodate on-street parking. Add sidewalks along the entire property frontage with a 2-foot landscape strip. Project shall include sidewalks within the development, increase front yard setback to 20 feet. Update traffic study to include new development in the area. Only 4 units shall be allowed as non-owner occupied rental property max. Whole house short-term rentals not allowed. Developer has 1 year to start construction. If not, property zoning can be reverted back to R1 with a vote of council.
And on that, I'm gonna ask for a roll call on the vote.
All right, Councilmember Freely. Councilmember Ziegler.
Aye.
Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Butler. Councilmember Martin Rogers.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Shropshire.
No.
The motion passed
On the conditions.
with the conditions, correct.
So now the main motion includes the city council plus Councilman Butler.
12. So now we have to, okay. Second. Okay.
Now we're gonna go on whether to approve the rezoning to RT with these 18. That's the motion.
So the motion is ordinance to amend official zoning map of East Point, Georgia from R1 residential to RT located at 0 Fairburn Road with the 18 conditions. That was made, so Councilmember Connie? No, you have to make the that's your. It's the same motion. So now now we're voting on that motion. Madam City Clerk, roll call on that motion.
Councilmember Freely? Yes, on the main motion with all 18 conditions. Yes, okay. Councilmember Ziegler? Councilmember Cummings? Councilmember Mitchell? Councilmember Butler? Councilmember Martin Rogers?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Shropshire?
No.
The motion passed.
Thank you. Next item, council discussion and possible action on the revision of the resolution to establish the qualifying dates and fees for the 2024 Ward B at-large council member special election. Is there a motion to open the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been moved and properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Madam City Clerk.
Okay, I brought this to council because I received an email from Fulton County Thursday afternoon stating that the ballot submission for the November elections would be on August 9th. Our initial dates for voting is usually the third weeks in August, which is where the initial qualifying dates were. However, with that date being moved up, I'm going to have to move the qualifying dates to August 5th through 7th to be in line with Fulton County to submit the ballots to go on the upcoming special election that we have for the November 7th. So it's just a change to our resolution. That's it. And a change to the dates.
Madam Pro Tem, I'm not sure what's going on.
Wait.
It's all good. Let's go. Let's just go.
Come on. Let's keep on.
Let's just go with this.
City.
Go ahead. Let's go.
Sorry, that's all I have.
I was just gonna add, the dates are changing for qualifying. Usually the dates for qualifying are always the third Monday of the month of August, right? But this year is a presidential year. And so the call for the question is moved up significantly. It's now in August. It's August 7th. And so because of that, our dates for qualifying can't be after August 7th, because municipal elections are never the same. They don't run the same year as presidential elections. This year we have a federal question, so we had to change our dates of qualifying. That's all we're doing. This resolution still calls for the special election on November 5th. It does not change the qualifying fee. It only changes the qualifying dates, and the law allows for it to be open for 2.5 days. And so that's what the Madam City Clerk just explained, that you would be approving the resolution to change the qualifying dates.
We need to make a motion, right?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the new dates for qualifying.
Second.
The motion has been approved and properly second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Now we come to the council comments. Are there any comments? Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes, and this is for the Madam City Clerk. I know last time I tried to make an appointment, Dr. William Bryant. I want to know, did he ever officially resign?
What was your appointment to?
That was to the DDA.
To the DDA. And I spoke with someone on the BIDA board, Miss Regina, and she said that Dr. Bryant did resign, but I let her know. I said, however, I didn't have written notice of that. So he did technically resign from that.
So he officially resigned?
He did. From that's what the BIDA liaison let me know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council member, the city has to receive a letter from him. You have to, when you resign, you have to give a letter. So if he resigns, he's got to give a letter.
He just said he got the letter.
No, she said, what she said was she spoke to somebody on Vital Board that said he resigned, but he has not officially turned in a letter that states that.
But she got the letter, right?
Did you get a letter from Dr.
Oh, I'm
Bryant?
sorry.
No, that's what I said.
Okay,
I don't,
okay.
I don't have the
Oh,
letter.
thank
That's
you
why
for
I
clarifying
asked the liaison for that board.
So
What
right now we
happened?
have
She
two
said-
people, so we have two people appointed to.
Well, he hadn't been showing up, but I still have, I don't have anything officially to stating, hey, I've resigned from this board like other people
I
have
got
done.
you.
Yes.
So you officially appoint somebody if the last person hasn't resigned? Is that allowed?
If I don't have the resignation letter, like, I don't know, I can,
Oh, my God.
you know, I do about a resignation letter.
Okay, so next step is he has to get you a letter, give you a letter.
That's it. It's just, it can be in an
Okay.
email. He can email me.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Thank you.
it. And then
Thank you.
like with the effective date as well, that will help.
Okay, thank you.
Your problem.
Councilmember Martin Rogers?
Yes, thank you so much. I'd like to thank those residents from Lakeside Preserve that came out tonight. I appreciated listening to your voice, receiving the telephone calls and the emails. I wanted to remind everyone of the Teacher Back to School Drive. Volunteers and donations are needed. Please visit the city's Facebook page or votelatanya.com or call 404-270-7100. For more information, to receive more information and the Amazon wish list, all donations are needed in by July 15th. And we will be celebrating my birthday with a cleanup, a Ward D cleanup on July 13th at the corner of Yates Road and Catalina Circle. Please bring your lawn chairs, I should be able to secure some bags, correct, interim city manager, and some litter pickup tools. Yes, 7:45-ish to 12 noon. I hope to see you there. You can also, again, contact the city clerk's office at 404-270-7100. And again, I want the residents in the community of Ward D to know that developers should not be permitted to come into our city and dictate when to change our ordinances to suit them and not the people that live here. I will always stand with the people. That is what you elected me to do, is to listen to your voices. Thank you so much for your support, and I yield, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Butler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to say a statement. The first thing I would like to do is say to Mr. Douglas, I appreciate you coming out. There are some things that are happening that need to be addressed. And the community has been lied to consistently. And because someone placates to you and give you these platitudes, that doesn't mean that they're doing what's best for you in the community. Step one, fact one, tractor trailer traffic on Ben Hill Road. That property where Microsoft was zoned is zoned industrial. Meaning, if we did not put a lesser industrial use like a data center, you're going to have an increase in tractor trailer traffic. Now you got men and women driving Teslas to work, high-end jobs. And let me say this to you. Those same people that are giving you these platitudes and placating to you is the reason why your rec center is not free and all you got is a walking park. Leadership is about doing difficult things and making difficult decisions and not just placating to the people. Because I took my time and I wrestled with this, and people who know me know that I wrestled with trying to do what's right for the people. If we don't guard every piece of development, then the problem is corporate America is run amok and they buying all these houses and we have nothing available for first-time home buyers. But the people in that community want something that's akin to what they have, i.e. $600,000 houses, $400,000 and $500,000 townhomes. Let me say another way. A sorority sister of mine, Delta Sigma Theta, she don't want a yard to cut. She wants a townhouse where she can pay $500,000, live close to East Point, Camp Creek Marketplace, and have someplace like that. When I look at Old Fairburn Road, it travels all the way down to South Fulton Union Road. There are thousands of houses that contribute to the traffic that's going down there. When you look on Thaxton Road, those houses were built in the 1960s. I'm sorry I can't hear myself because somebody keep talking. I was not rude when they were speaking. Now we got crosstalk. When I talk to the elders, it's like talking to my mother, like my auntie. And I'm always trying to do what's best for them. And anybody who knows me knows that that's what I do. I don't get anything out of this. The only thing I get out of this is the pleasure of service. And it was heartbreaking to me to tell somebody, I know what you want, but if you just trust me, you're going to get something a little better. But it's hard to do that when you got people telling you lies. They are lying to you, and they lie to you to get you out of office because they talk about people over politics. They do politics all day. Somebody has to stand up and tell the truth, because if I wanted to do something easy and simple, I'd have voted no. It's hard to go out there on a limb and be a leader and try to solve problems for people. That's what I do, and that's why I was elected. So I'm saying this to the people, hopefully you're still there. Don't fall into the traps of the false platitudes. It's false gold, people. Anything worth happening takes hard work. Coming up with these conditions to protect the people, having a turning lane, make sure we have those buffers, because when Amari said, how do we guarantee it? She was right. When I travel down Old Fairburn Road, those people are 45, they're going 55, 60 miles per hour. I've already reached out to the city councilwoman in that area to talk about speed mitigation. That's doing the work. We have big problems, and we're here in this small city, but they affect us. And I ask you, please be conscious about what's happening, because there are nuances, and it's hard trying to do what's right and solve problems for the people. And that's what we're trying to do. But there are some people on this dais that are dishonest with you, the people, and they do it out of personal agendas. And then they want to start fights and ruckuses on the dioceses, and then they want to say I'm the one that's violent. I've never done and acted like some of these people on this dais have. Tell your associates, tell the elders who are concerned about their property, I got you. You are being protected. Part of the reason they're even here is because they have been sold seeds of dissent and biasness by people who have selfish motivations. That property on Old Fairburn Ward, it does not directly, not right next door to Lakeside Preserve, but what is D.L. Horton with 200 houses, and they don't last a year, made out of cardboard. Those are the problems, the big problems we have to solve if we're really thinking about what's going on for the people. Because what's going to, and then one of the things, I'm going to close with this. I was very disturbed when someone said they felt like their Ward D people weren't listening to them. I'm the same Joshua B. Butler IV you call at 5 o'clock in the morning when somebody parked on the street in Lakeside Preserve and the school bus can't get by. I'm the same Joshua Butler IV, Miss Lynn, when you call me and it's a dead deer right there on Old Fairburn Road, and I make the phone call so it could get picked up. I'm the same Joshua Butler IV that told our previous city manager, Pay those people their money for their water bill and stop mucking around with them. I was the same Joshua Butler IV that worked for Lakeside Preserve when you were concerned about blasting. And I worked with the fire chief to make sure you had a community meeting, the only meeting that I had missed in Lakeside Preserve. And I am Joshua Butler IV that organized the developer to meet with Lakeside Preserve to really talk about what they want to build and to try to flush out some concerns. The point of that meeting was to come to some middle ground. But when you have people that keep baka, starting fights and putting gas on fires, you can't come to a winning solution. That's what I'm here about. And I'm Joshua B. Butler IV, your Ward D at-large councilman, always representing and looking out for the people. Whether it's easy or hard, I'm always there.
Are there any more comments? Okay, being none, I guess I'll go last. Let me say thank you to the residents that came out. Sometimes the voter is not going to always go the way it's expected. But I will say this. I think people have good intentions. Some, when you're up here and you are trying to do what's best for the residents. I think to insult anyone for their belief or their stand is wrong. Everybody has a right to their opinion and to say what they say. It has to be done in a respectful way. I will always say, if these conditions came up, that really should have been said, a conversation should have been had with the residents, because when I looked out there, I still didn't see any signs that were taken down. They were still not agreeing to the townhomes. So it is up to council to try to enforce what you've already passed, to hold that developer accountable for what they should and should not do. At the end of the day, once you pass something, it is up to that developer now. You can't go in, you can't undo, you can't change. And one said, they live on that, you rode on Old Fairburn, and the traffic is, imagine what the traffic will be like if they build 18 additional homes. Well, I live on Delow, and I know what the traffic is like. It's like a speed race. So I understand what they're saying when it is what they want, something particular in their neighborhood. They never said they were against development. What they said was they didn't want the townhomes. You can build single family houses. They don't have a problem with the people that's building the single family houses right now. They could have did additional homes. They were not against that. Sometimes you have to get out your own feelings in your own way and listen to what the people are saying. And it's not about what we want or how we feel or how we see it. It's at the end of the day, you have to listen to the voters. It's what they want and how they feel and how they see for their communities. Because I know what I see and how I feel when it comes to my community. So I really listen to what they're saying, because at the end of the day, we don't have to live over there. They do. I want to leave on that note. So, hey, you voted for it. City have to live with it. But I will say this. I want to update at the next council, at the work session, on code enforcement, because I have not seen code enforcement. I also want to update on where we are with short-term rentals, because I constantly ask, what was that house at 2257 DeLow Drive? And nobody could give me an answer as to what it was. And I had to hear from the maid who cleaned up that that's a short-term rental. Every 6 months, they get new people in the house. Now, the house next door, not directly next door, it's 2 doors down, it's 2267. I'm afraid that's getting ready to be a Airbnb house because they fixed it up and now they're going in there making changes to the house. 2257 have 5 bathrooms in that house. Each room has a bathroom. There were no plans to do any of that, no permitting, no nothing. But yet we talk about code enforcement, planning, but they were allowed to add 5 bathrooms in the house. Same thing going on with 2267. There's no oversight when it comes to Airbnb, short-term rental, or code enforcement. 2293 still have bricks sitting in the front yard. Bricks sitting in the backyard, just a pile. I'm sure there's snakes and everything else up under it. And I've said this quite often. So I'm bringing it to the table again. I haven't seen code enforcement, and I say 6 months. It's probably been longer than that. But do we have any executive session items? How many? 4 legal? Are there any other items? Any personnel, any other items?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I have the references that you
Personnel.
all requested for the city attorney.
Personnel.
candidates. Yes,
So
ma'am.
there's 4 legal, 1 personnel. Make it 2 personnel. 4 legal, 2 personnel.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
I wanted to add 1 real estate.
1 real estate. 4 legal, 1 real estate, 2 personnel.
Mhm.
Okay.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Motion to adjourn to executive session for 4 legal, 1 real estate, and 2 personnel.
Is there a second? All in favor? Oh, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, is there a motion to reconvene? Is there a second? The motion has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Madam City Clerk.
Oh, okay. The first one for council to proceed as discussed on parcel number 22.
Okay, there's a motion there. So the motion is as proceed to discuss an executive session on property
So moved.
Parcel 22.
parcel 22, parcel 2. 22.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item,
Motion to counter for the Georgia Power easement.
motion to
Counter.
Second.
counter offer.
So moved.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn, oh, wait, no, motion to approve executive session minute meetings. Is there a second? Motion has been moved and properly second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, shoot. Okay. So we never closed.
I make the motion to amend the settlement terms for the Renee Group.
The motion has been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to, we need to, a motion to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Good night, East Point.